morning. You awake? Welcome to UUCC, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua. We're a group of spiritual freethinkers who gather to celebrate life, build community, and better the world. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. I'm Carrie Teague, your worship associate this morning, and the service today will be led by Matt Ross McGuire and assisted by Danielle Lyon. Thank you to everyone on this morning's worship team, including music by Bill Mells, and religious education for children 3 and over by Nancy Reed and Kaya Mells. If this is your first visit, welcome. We invite you to sign the visitor's book in the entryway. And whether it's your first visit or your 1,000th, you know who you are here, who've been here 1,000 times. We are glad that you came. This service is also being live streamed to our YouTube channel now that we have everything fixed on our internet. We will plan on continuing with hybrid worship services so you can join us each week here in person, on Zoom, or later on YouTube. To help us connect better with our friends watching from home, please turn around and give a wave to the camera in the back by the clock. And at the end of the service, we invite our friends on Zoom to turn on their cameras and return the wave. I have a few announcements to share with you today. To help make the most of our time together, event details can be found on the printed announcements in the back of the room, which is kind of on the side there before you get to the kitchen, right on this hallway over there. Or also in the weekly email. If you have a joy or sorrow to share today, please fill out the card on or near your chair. We invite you to bring them forward and place them in the basket after Bill rings the chimes and begins to play. You can also come forward and drop just a pebble or a stone into the water if you have a joy or sorrow that you prefer to keep to yourself and not share it with the congregation. Name tags are being made and will be shipped to us soon, I've been promised. It's about time. We'll announce the shipment date once it's received. The Finger Lakes Justice Partnership, FLXJP, that's really hard. Legacies of Justice calendar is available for ordering. Cost is $20. The ordering link is in the newsletter. Lynn Overgaard has agreed to pick up all calendar orders for UUCC and bring them to the church, so put UUCC in the comments section if you want Lynn to pick yours up too. Please join us today after the service for our second Sunday potluck. So every second Sunday of every month, we've got a potluck afterwards, and whether you brought a dish to share or not, please stay, there's always plenty. Next Sunday will be our annual solstice service, followed by carol singing. Oh, that's so fun. And we're going to miss it this year because we're going to be away, but seriously, it's super fun. So come for that. And then there's also cookie and craft sales. And if you're willing to donate cookies, please email Karen Alvarez. And this would be a great service to invite a friend to. Check the announcements printed in the back and the weekly email for additional opportunities to gather together this month, including a virtual Vesper service at 7 p.m. on Thursday, December 18th, and an in-person Christmas Eve service here at church at 4 p.m. on December 24th. Our next Justice Table is scheduled for Friday, December 19th from 6 to 8 p.m. If you're able, please bring a dish to pass and non-stretch cotton fabric to cut in preparation to make 7-inch by 7-inch quilt squares in collaboration with the Farmington Friends. Suitable fabric may possibly be found in leftover stock from your past projects or on remnant rolls at Restore or Goodwill. Okay, are there any other announcements for the good of the community? Kaya.
Carrie and I finished with cleaning the fridge last week, so if you put anything in there, if you can date when it was open, so when it gets cleaned again, we know when to throw it out.
That's really helpful, because there were lots of things like, we don't know. I think it's probably been in here for, way longer than it should have been. So it's not just the expiration dates, right? It's like when you open this package, and we store a lot of stuff in the fridge that otherwise at home you might not. So anyway, just if you open it and it's going to get saved, just put the date on it. We threw out some stuff that was quite expired, but some things you can't tell. So, yeah.
One more. That's the music. one is going to be 10:37 at meditation time. There'll be some words, a very short silence, and then it's a responsive reading, except the leader reads it and the congregation sings the response. And the response is what I just played. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. And then the reader reads something and we respond. And each time it's the same response. And I'll be playing, you see there's lots of different music. I'll play some of them, I'll leave some of them for another time when we know it even better. But yeah, that'll be the setup for today's meditation.
Any other announcements? Okay. As we prepare to be fully together, I remind you to silence your phones and devices. We now enter a space of worship, and now is the time to bring forward any joys or sorrows, or come to drop in a pebble. I know we're going to light the chalice, except I forgot to invite someone up. Forgot to ask somebody in advance, but I bet Maria would help me. Yeah, Maria, you want to help me with this chalice lighting? Awesome. All right. I invite you to join with me in our chalice lighting words. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We like to speak it of hope, sign our quest for truth and meaning. Celebration of the life we share together.
Pardon me 1 second while I open this on my phone. For our opening words, I'm going to read a speech, an acceptance speech by Ursula K. Le Guin that you might have heard in part, but I think is worth hearing in its short entirety. To the givers of this beautiful reward, my thanks from the heart. My family, my agent, my editors know that my being here is their doing as well as mine, and that the beautiful reward is theirs as much as mine. And I rejoice in accepting it. For and sharing it with all the writers who were excluded from literature for so long, my fellow authors of fantasy and science fiction, writers of the imagination, who for the last 50 years watched the beautiful rewards go to the so-called realists. I think hard times are coming when we will be wanting the voices of writers who can see alternatives to how we live now and can see through our fear-stricken society and its obsessive technologies to other ways of being, and even imagine some real grounds for hope. We will need writers who can remember freedom, poets, visionaries, the realists of a larger reality. Right now, I think we need writers who know the difference between production of a market commodity and the practice of an art. Developing written material to suit sales strategies in order to maximize corporate profit and advertising revenue is not quite the same as responsible book publishing or authorship. Thank you, brave applauders. Yet I see sales departments given control over editorial. I see my own publishers in a silly panic of ignorance and greed, charging public libraries for an ebook 6 or 7 times more than they charge customers. We just saw a profiteer try to punish a publisher for disobedience and writers threatened by corporate fatwa. And I see a lot of us, the producers who write the books and make the books, accepting this, letting commodity profiteers sell us like deodorant and tell us what to publish and what to write. Books, they're not just commodities. The profit motive is often in conflict with the aims of art. We live in capitalism. Its power seems inescapable. So did the divine right of kings. Any human power can be resisted and changed by human beings. Resistance and change often begin in art, and very often in our art, the art of words. I've had a long career, and a good one, in good company. Now here at the end of it, I really don't want to watch American literature get sold down the river. We who live by writing and publishing want and should demand our fair share of the proceeds. But the name of our beautiful reward is not profit. Its name is freedom.
Our opening hymn this morning is number 1023 in the Teal Hymnal. Please rise as you're willing and able and join us to sing. I'll play it once and then we'll sing it through twice.
And now it's time for a story. If there's anyone who would like to help me tell the story, they're welcome to come up. No takers. Okay.
Well, what's the story?
This is a wonderful story by that same author, usually known for adult fiction, but it's a children's book based on Scandinavian folklore called A Ride on the Red Mare's Back. I can only read an excerpt from it, but I encourage you to check it out, beautifully illustrated as well. But in the story, a young girl's brother has been kidnapped by trolls, taken to the mountains, and her favorite toy, her red horse, becomes magically real, becomes her protector, carries her to the mountains, but it's up to her to go into the cave and rescue her brother. The room was huge, like a cave, and full of smoke from the torches. Around and across it, children raced, troll children, little ones and bigger ones, screaming and yelling, chasing and hitting, tripping and grabbing, throwing things, yanking things, breaking things. Under a sputtering torch, several large troll children were twisting the arms of a smaller one to make it scream. On a pile of smashed toys and furniture, one troll child stood, bellowing, "I won! I'm king! I won!" Near the doorway, two troll babies, filthy dirty, sat shivering in a heap of wet rags, weeping in high voices. In the middle of the room, a thin troll child had made a fire of trash and was cooking something over it on a stick. And far across the room, 4 or 5 troll children were fighting over a toy of some kind, or perhaps something to eat. They were screaming and struggling and hitting one another. She looked at them and saw that one of them was not a troll child, but her brother. It was quite busy, so she ran across the cave room, straight to her little brother, and caught him by the hand. "Come on, come quick," she said. But he stared at her and pulled his hand away. He stuck out his tongue. "What are you here for?" he shouted. Several troll children gathered around, showing the teeth in their wide mouths. They imitated him, shouting, "What are you here for?" "Brother, come with me," she said. "Why should I? I like it here." "Mother and father are grieving for you." "I don't care. I like it here. I can do anything I like here. I don't ever go to bed. I can eat rats. I can kick people. I'm going to be a troll when I grow up and be stronger than anybody and kill things." Some of the troll children pressed closer to her, jeering at her. One of them pulled her hair. Another one, squatting on the floor, tried to hold her by the ankle. She looked at her little brother, and oh, he was as ugly as a troll, showing his teeth at her. "Come with me," she said, but he shouted no. Here's some of the troll children fighting. She turned and went back across the room toward the doorway. There the old troll squatted, making a mighty tangle with the yarn. It had noticed nothing. It scratched its head with a knitting needle and made another knot. The girl put her hand in her pocket and felt the scarf she had knitted for her brother. She turned and walked back through the yelling, running, fighting troll children to her brother. He stood quite alone, looking small. "I made this for you," she said, and held out the scarf. "It's cold here," he said. He shook the scarf and wrapped it around his neck, hunching his shoulders. "I'm cold," he said. "I want to go home." "Come on," she said. But he stood there with his shoulders hunched and did not move. She picked him up, and he put his arms around her neck. She carried him across the cave room, right past the old troll, who had now made all the yarn into one huge knot and was jabbing at it with the needles. She carried her brother down the long corridor, hurrying, for she could see that outside the door of the mountain it was no longer night. Dawn was coming and the air was pale. She carried her brother through the door and into the open air, and there set him down. He stood beside her, holding her hand.
Now is the time in our service to join together in the spiritual practice of generosity. Our gifts of both time and money support our church in its work. Each week, we like to spotlight a group or committee and thank them for their gift of time. And this week, it's a shout out to Tom and Danielle Lyons from the worship committee, who run all of the Zoom technical stuff in the back. And we definitely need some more folks who are tech savvy or willing to become a little bit more tech savvy to fill in when they're not able to be here. Seriously, they do 95% of this stuff. We can at least help them out for 5%. So if you are willing and able, please talk to them after the service and get trained so you know how to do that. One quarter of our plate collection for the darkness season will go to our service partner, The Spot. The Spot provides free food, clothing, school supplies, and personal care items to students in the Canandaigua and Victor school districts. Their work ensures equitable, easy access to basic needs. You can give to this morning's offering by placing cash or a check in the basket as it comes around, or by one of the options on your screen. Please make a note that your gift is intended for today's offering. We now gratefully accept the offering. And now it's time for joys and sorrows, except we have no sorrows today, it's only joys. Maria is excited for the first night of Hanukkah and getting to read the morning announcement at school tomorrow. Go, Maria. And Matt is feeling joy and gratitude for the UUCC library and everyone's patience with his typical late returns. I now drop another pebble into the column of water for any joys or sorrows that remain unspoken in our hearts. As I drop this in, if you would say with me, we are with you.
We are with you.
And at this time, if there are any children who would like to attend religious education, please go downstairs with Kaya and Nancy.
We've now come to the time in our service for centering and shared silence. So I'd like to invite you to take a moment to just take a deep breath, sink a little deeper into your seat, feel the ground beneath your feet. Sometimes reaching out for human connection feels risky, but it's far riskier to try to make it through this life alone. There are times when we all feel like we aren't enough or have made too many mistakes, but that is never true. Sometimes it's easier to sit alone and scroll on the phone and, kind of isolate yourself almost as a punishment for not being worthy to reach out for an actual one-to-one human connection. But especially in these dark times of year is a time when it's best to make some room and come out into community. I'd like to share a reading with you by C.E. Combs, followed by a sung responsive meditation to remind us that no matter how dark the days, it is always possible to begin again in love. I hope you find warmth on the coldest of days. I hope you never feel alone or forgotten. I hope you find light in the darkest of hours and know that every star shines for you to light your way back home, back to who you truly are. I hope you find love when you've forgotten how to love yourself. And last but not least, I hope you always remember that you are worthy of all that feels missing during the hardest of days, and that no one stays lost, dark, or left out in the cold forever. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time we have struck out in anger without just cause.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For the selfishness that sets us apart and alone.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For losing sight of our unity.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
for those and so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
I'll start and end today with the eloquent words of my friend Beth Beer, musician and poet, who said, "All that follows or precedes more simply and beautifully." The first piece is called Shroud. A click for a witness, a smile at a distance, alone in a crowd, your own little shroud covers you, covers you. A poke in passing, a joke no one's laughing, alone in a crowd, your own little shroud. A stage of games awaits you, play the part that breaks you. Mark the spot, build up that plot, that's all that's left for you. A fear of spaces, a shift in phases, alone in a crowd, your own little shroud covers you, covers you. I suspect, like many of you, that while I'm thankful for the care I've received, I've never been a fan of doctor's appointments. Sorry, Dr. Graff. I'm not sure time has improved my attitude, so at a recent checkup, it was a pleasure and a bit of a surprise to hear there'd been some welcome changes to my health, including a significant drop in blood pressure and weight. Then came probably the three little words we'd all most like to hear from a medical professional. What's your secret? I hesitated, taken aback. What had I done? Somewhat proudly and slightly embarrassed at the same time, I realized many little changes must have added up and began to list them. Well, I've set some limits on sugar and alcohol, been more physically active, and gotten back into a routine of morning yoga. She nodded, eyes widening as she noted special agreement with the last item, and talked about the importance of daily stretching, particularly as we age. I agreed, thinking, though, how much more I valued sitting meditation than poses, the feeling I'd left something else out as well. And in the spirit of the season of risk, I'll share it with you. Soon after that visit, while helping students research negative effects of screen time, or duration spent on digital devices, it hit like a brick. A particular article stood out, a Stanford University digest of recent research. What excessive screen time does to the adult brain. The highlighted studies included some typically cited health effects: eye and neck strain, impacts on quality of sleep, and effects on emotional and mental health, while also noting some other, perhaps less commonly emphasized health issues related to excessive use of digital devices. Impact on learning, memory, and neurodegenerative disease, including thinning of the cerebral cortex, the outer cerebral layer responsible for decision-making and problem-solving, an increased risk of dementia, stroke, and Parkinson's disease, inhibition of the pineal gland activity that regulates circadian rhythms, and a measurably lower volume of gray matter in brain tissue essential to movement, memory, and emotion. And this one I found especially interesting, not that those all aren't as well, but the triggering of fight or flight reflexes. So there's a lot of emphasis placed on the harmful use of screens at night, but the premise here is that upon awakening, using a device in the first hour is physiologically perceived as a threat and increases flight or fight responses, sets us up to be hypervigilant. So some of my unhealthy behaviors online are what you might call doom scrolling or brain rot, but there was more to it, and I think Danielle realized that when I spoke about that in small group, and when she asked me to speak today. So I realized that a lot of the changes that I had made were rooted in a conscious decision to change the quality and quantity of my time online. I made that choice some time ago after looking at others' activity led me to reflect on my own. And while promoting my own work online, I ran afoul of what would commonly be called a troll farm. Organization meant to produce negative engagement online. I've usually worn my heart on my sleeve on social media, haven't shied away from argument, and it's obviously very easily available there. I found myself infuriated by the abusive behavior I saw that was particularly focused on women and minorities in the arts. We all encourage others to stand up for vulnerable people, but don't always acknowledge the risk and the cost of doing that. I found some of my online interactions with abusive accounts harrowing and even terrifying and isolating. It's difficult for friends, family, and even victims themselves to see online abuse as real, although its effects certainly can be. The law certainly hasn't caught up with this kind of behavior. Recent news has, and not so recent news, has revealed how well-funded many sources of disinformation and hubs for online abuse are, and that a significant number of them are well-organized international operations created with an express intent to spread political discord and instability, including some very well-known ones like Meta and X. Personally, I'm still waiting on my Soros check. Like the citizens of the Glass City in Zamyatin's prototypical dystopian novel, We, all of us can be frighteningly vulnerable to online harassment in a transparent, digitized landscape. It's unsettling to have an online troll, person using inflammatory and offensive content to harass others, dig through your digital presence in attempts to find emotional triggers, often becoming overtly threatening when confronted. I began working together with others online to offer support to victims of abuse and to expose and identify its sources. It became clear that there was a limit. Some of those involved in online harassment use literal dozens of pseudonymous accounts and spend a working day or even a waking day engaged in this kind of activity. Most importantly, I realized that as Red Mare's protagonist discovers, it's all too easy to lose sight of our humanity in an inhuman environment. It's also obviously a dangerous distraction from meaningful action and interaction in real life. But the story also points out how simple reconnection can be. What I'd call anti-trolling, perhaps most visibly represented by some of Governor Newsom of California's online presence, directly and indirectly might mirror methods used by opponents. It's often not desirable or possible to match the volume of content or their posting for obvious reasons. I've previously compared these experiences to the process of digging out a ground hornet's nest. Fire can be a helpful tool in clearing out a hive, but it's ultimately the cool steadiness of water and patient digging that wins the day. The alternative is abandoning the field or poisoning it or being driven insane by constant stings. After confronting a particularly persistent abuser with some of these realizations, I knew I had to put my money where my very big mouth was. I began adopting the pledge to show respect and disagreement more catholically, and reminding myself of others' inherent value more consistently. I set strict limits on time online and setting personal limits on the nature of my interactions. NGL, as they say. I felt like a pack a day, man. I initially struggled with keeping to 2 hours a day, but it got easier. And I will say the waking piece is especially tricky. It's hard not to just pick up your phone right away. But quantity and quality are obviously related. And being kinder while being firm became easier too. I felt some pride in my success with my unannounced resolution and began to develop a kind of instinct, a kind of itch, letting me know I was going over a limit that was strengthening over time. I've since felt some horror thinking of some of my deepest involvement with the virtual world and see a lot of my life and the life of others through that lens these days. It can be particularly distressing as a teacher seeing how pervasive digital devices and media are for particularly vulnerable populations. But I also realize how easily any of us can be seduced and manipulated, and how hypocritical we can be in judgment of others' vulnerability. I haven't touched on disinformation directly here, but while this all unfolded, I was forced to take a look at that digital world impact from another angle close to home. Providing care for an estranged relative, long ensnared in webs of online conspiracy theory. My family and I had sharply limited contact after feeling repeatedly cornered by what I can only characterize as crazy talk, ranging from microchip vaccines activated by microwaves to full-on flat earth fundamentalism. But a stage 4 cancer diagnosis makes it easier to overlook and forgive. A greater impact came while helping clean an apartment practically enshrined to my wife and children by countless pictures and cards, and wallpapered by my artworks. It helped me see everyone ensnared in these webs as victims. We're often told, don't feed the trolls, but simply turning our backs doesn't always work, and doesn't mean the world behind the black mirror won't affect us and others. The pervasive tech designed to benefit the few and leave the rest of us squabbling over their scraps has to be confronted. We live in what seems like troll world, with its own troll king sitting at its top. While I can't fault anyone for turning away, I obviously even advise it to some extent. I don't recommend ceding control of our shared digital world any more than I'd say we should give up on the real one. But the insights that came from this experience keep shining. I see different pieces of my life that had previously been shadowed by my life online light up. My work, my relationship, and of course my health. If my experiences echo yours in any way, I'd love to hear about it and offer encouragement and support in making your way. I'm going to close with another song poem from my friend Beth. This is called Blinding Light. I'm at a loss to describe it, but it feels like a vise tightening, lost in a land of nightmares, for I can't tell what I'm seeing. The man in the moon is laughing at us because we are ridiculous. Claw around for some ground, you continue to deceive me. Stand on top of piles of dirty lies. What are you thinking? The stars in the sky have already died, and still they are blinding us. Full of disgust, I turn off all the screens around me, wanting to feel something real, electrical, a pulse inside. The central force is not ourselves. It is and must be love.
on the screen. I like knowing the latest me. I feel incomplete, but I'll fill it, distill it. I like sharing the latest news. It reinforces my worldview. I shout profanity in the streets, so discreet. Give me bread and circuses. Give me bread and circuses. Divert my eyes from the spark. Mesmerized, it's a hidden art. Give me bread and circuses. I like wild fictions on the screen. Polished high to show the sheen. Gather sand for the Colosseum. Hunger peaks, grace is sweet. The barker calls from the carnival. The game soon's turned to a bloody brawl. We applaud on our feet, rinse and repeat, repeat. Give me bread and circuses. Give me bread and circuses. Divert my eyes from the spark. Mesmerize, it's a hidden art. Give me bread and circuses. And circuses.
Please join us for our closing hymn, but I don't know what number it is.
1029. In the Teal hymnal, please rise as you're willing and able and join us to sing. Love knocks and waits for us to hear, to open and invite. Love loves to quiet
are with us today on Zoom and would like to wave goodbye at the end of service, you can turn on your camera now. I know it looks like the flame is out because I was in the front and I thought it was out, but it is still lit, which is much like this time of the year of December when there's very little light, but it's still there. So please join me in our words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please stay for potluck.